Well, hello there, and God bless you, and welcome to another Friday with the one and only Pastor Roberto Bruno. No, I'm just kidding. God bless you. I pray that you've had a wonderful week and just basking in the greatness of God. I am slightly overwhelmed, I guess, in a good way, or yeah, that it's already September and experiencing some changes at my job and at the hospital, and are exciting, but also, a little nerve wracking, which is always good to keep the juices flowing. And just really, really grateful to God, and grateful that we serve a God that we can make choices for our own lives. When I was in the chaplain program, studying to be a chaplain, we had to read this book by Viktor Frankl's. It's A Man's Search for Meaning. And if you have not read the book, I could not find mine. I wanted to show you the cover. I just couldn't, and was a harsh reality that I really need to purge some books. If I can't find books, that's a problem for me. But anyways, Viktor Frankl's A Man's Search for Meaning is a really, really powerful book, because Frankl's was a doctor and a psychologist during World War II. And he was arrested by the Nazis, and he spent many years in various concentration camps. Like many people, unfortunately, during that time, for the most part, lost everything. Frankl's lost his parents, his brother, he lost his wife, and pretty much a concept that we cannot imagine. He was brutalized and really stripped of all his freedoms and dignity and really everything that makes life human, right? I mean, we've read the stories and the history of these concentration camps where, people were just numbers and terrible conditions. And but out of this terrible place, he wrote this book. And in the camp, as we said, where people were just really numbers, I don't even want to say less than human or treated less than human, he saw a lot of ascents, right? He saw a lot of things. You would think it's a concentration camp and it's pure misery and sadness, and yes, but he saw people ascend to compassion and generosity, even beauty, while others collapsed into bitterness, cruelty, and despair. And it fascinated of Frankl, because it was in that same fire or hellhole, however we want to say it. This is what Frankl said. He said, everything can be taken from a person, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, it's to choose one's attitude in any circumstance. That's pretty amazing coming from someone in a concentration camp where he had the wherewithal, right? The understanding, where clearly everything was stripped from these people. Everything. That here he says, but they can't take the power of choice from one's attitude concerning a circumstance. You know, beloved, choosing is a powerful thing. And I think the enemy and our own brains, or I should talk about my own brain, basically says that we don't have choices. And us serving the Lord, we have an infinity worth of choices, an infinite, there you go, amount of choices. See, what society and negativity wants us to believe is that we're a product of our environment. And yeah, maybe environment plays a part, but we're not necessarily a product of it or a product of our circumstances or excuses. And what Frankel's saying is listen, we always have a choice. Even in a concentration camp, people had choices on how they would live their lives in that. See, there's opportunities, right? When we have circumstances or challenges or negative environments, there are opportunities. And, you know, beloved, I used to never think that way. Where now that I think when I'm faced with something hard or a hard person to deal with or whatever it is, that it really is an opportunity. How am I going to respond to this? But then also, how am I going to use this to grow or to be better? Now, you may say, man, bro, that's a lot of thinking when I'm having a bad day or I work in a crappy job or something. And it's like, well, you know, isn't our whole life intentional? Right? Don't we do things intentionally? Yeah, I know there's some things that are robotic, getting out of bed, stumbling into the shower in the morning or whatever. Our car knows the way to our job, so we don't even think while we're driving. But there's always an opportunity to choose. You know, our life's not happening to us, but for us. And again, I used to think for the longest time that, hey man, it is what it is, right? We just kind of go with the flow. You know, the life's going to take us in the current, and wherever it ends up, well, that's where we're supposed to end up. And that's not necessarily true, because that's a life happening to us. I can't control this grouchy person at Starbucks ruined my day. A total stranger ruined our day? That's a lot of power. I think in the society we live in, we surrender a lot of power, right? Someone posts something on TikTok and people just, you know, say horrible things, and the recipient is making counter videos to say whatever. That's a lot of power given away. Do we surrender to our trials? Do we surrender to the negativity? Yeah, it's going to keep just boom, boom, boom like a jackhammer. I know how life could be, and problems and issues and thinking and overthinking and all of those things is. But instead of just like, what do I do? What do I do? Let's just do it. Let's just choose. Choose to move forward. Choose to learn something like this. In a sense, take control of our lives. I understand if we have a sickness or something that's debilitating, But we also have a choice in that as well. See, the question is when the fire, right, when the heat of our lives comes, is it going to break us or is it going to forge us to make us stronger? Because God's going to be with us always, always with us, always. And I just want to encourage you, beloved, just like Frankel, man, we have the freedom to choose. We do. And sometimes choices are really hard and the road of choice isn't any easier. However, the power does belong to us and no one else. Be encouraged, beloved. Be encouraged. God bless you.